What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So, this is kind of going to be a gloomy episode of Joe Winko Talk, but not so much a personal one about myself. I will be discussing a scary topic in this episode, and that scary topic I'm going to be discussing are tornadoes. So, recently, I became fascinated with tornadoes. The reason why, I plan on doing more episodes of Joe Winko talk about them. The reason why I became fascinated with tornadoes is because, last year, a psychic told me I was supposed to be killed by a tornado in October of 2017. But because she told me, I avoided that, so that's the only reason why I'm still here. Because a bunch of other stuff happened after she told me that. So that's the only reason why I didn't end up getting killed by a tornado. She said I was going to get killed by a tornado in North Carolina, and I heard that there actually were reports of tornadoes happening in North Carolina, so that's another creepy thing. What I wanted to talk about in this episode is a man living in Fairdale, Illinois. He filmed a tornado making a direct hit, and it was an EF4 tornado. Those are the second most powerful tornadoes. F5 is the most powerful, F0 is the weakest, but an F4 is right under F5, and they're really violent tornadoes too. I actually have that video, and I'm going to show it to you guys right now, so let me pull it up real quick. Okay, here it is. 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so there you see it. There's a tornado. He was filming this from from the second floor of his house. He had a basement, but he couldn't get into it because, I don't know why. They said there wasn't enough space to get into it. And if you saw something like that coming towards you, you'd probably, freeze with fear or something. That's probably what I would do. Oh gosh, it's getting closer. Because it makes a direct hit to him, and it made a direct hit to the house. This is scary, gosh. Gosh. That is not good. Okay, so the reason why the screen went black at that moment, that man actually survived the tornado, but his wife didn't. The reason why the screen went black is because the chimney fell on top of him, and he survived, but his wife, who was on the first floor, she didn't survive, and his wife's friend, who was living next door, she also died. So it's really sad. And it was scary because Fairdale, Illinois, when I think of tornadoes hitting Illinois, I always think of the southern side of Illinois, because Illinois is definitely, in my opinion, a tornado state, but I never associate tornadoes with northern Illinois. I always think of just southern Illinois, because that's where the instability in the atmosphere is, because the warm air from the Gulf of Mexico flows up there and everything. And plus you get the cold air from Canada, and they converge around that area. They really converge more in Oklahoma, but they can also converge in Illinois too. But that's not... Fairdale, Illinois is right near the state line of Wisconsin and Illinois, so not very far from where I lived, because I used to live around the Milwaukee area of Wisconsin. so it creeps me out, really. I never think of Wisconsin as a tornado state. Wisconsin definitely is not a tornado state, but it does get hit with tornadoes, and it has had violent tornadoes, and I am still glad I don't live there anymore, even though it isn't a tornado state. That state sucks, and I never want to go back there, and I can't go back there. There's no place there for me to go back to, but you all know that story. However, in 1996, an F5 tornado hit the town of Oakfield, Wisconsin, and that's like in central Wisconsin. I have a couple pictures of what that tornado did. Here's a picture of the tornado. That's it, at the end of the road. It wasn't a very large tornado, but it caused a lot of damage. And here's some pictures of the damage it did. There's that. And you can see the path of where it went, because the ground is ripped up and everything, and it almost completely destroyed that building. And here's this. It's a very chaotic scene. Luckily, no one there died at all, because quite a few of them were caught off guard, and there were quite a few close calls. But luckily, no one in Oakfield, Wisconsin died from that tornado. And I'm very glad they didn't. And here's another picture. It completely destroyed this house, and it looked like it tore the foundation off of it almost, because all you see there is just the basement, and where the basement was. So, that's so creepy. So, no one died in that tornado. But the thing is, people in Wisconsin, even though it's not really a tornado-prone state, people in Wisconsin are usually ready for tornadoes, because the reason why no one really dies of tornadoes in Wisconsin very often is because almost everyone in the state of Wisconsin has a basement. Like, almost everyone in the state has a basement. And my apartment that I used to live in Wisconsin, I'll have a link to that in the pinned comments, the video of me showing the apartment on the last day I was there. My apartment had a really big basement, and it almost seemed like that basement was like designed for like as a storm shelter or something. And you know, the scary thing is, where I live right now, because I live down south right now, because I left Wisconsin forever, we don't have basements where I live, and that's the creepy thing. So if a tornado hit, there would be no place for me to hide. I couldn't be in here because there's a window nearby, and if something flies through the window or if the glass comes in, I'd be sliced to bits. Because imagine a bunch of glass shards hitting me at 300 miles per hour. But the safest thing for me to do would be to go into the innermost room that I have access to, because a lot of rooms, because as I said, I live in a huge house, a lot of the hallways and rooms are locked, and I can't get into them at all. Another thing is, as I said, where I live is notorious for being hit with hurricanes. Because of that, this whole house is made out of concrete, which might offer some protection, like I wouldn't have stuff flying through the walls, but what could happen that could be really bad if it was powerful enough, like an EF5, what would happen is the walls would just come down and crush me to death, and that one doesn't sound like a fun way to die either. But I just hope a EF5 tornado never happens here, otherwise it's curtains for me, so that's very unlikely. Violent tornadoes are rare from what I've heard, but there's quite a few that have hit that I've heard of and that I read about, so I don't think they're as rare as people think. And another thing, I wasn't very far from Oakfield, Wisconsin either, and when I read about that, I thought it was creepy, because I didn't think tornadoes could occur that far north, like all the way in Wisconsin, in a cold state of Wisconsin. But there's another thing. So let me show you this map right here. Here's a map of where I used to live in Wisconsin, and Oakfield, Wisconsin, which is right up there. So when I lived in Wisconsin, I always lived near the Great Lakes. My adoptive parents' house was near the Great Lakes, and my apartment was near the Great Lakes. Oakfield, Wisconsin is 40 miles away from the coastline of Lake Michigan. And where I lived in Wisconsin, I always lived less than 10 miles away from the coastline of Lake Michigan. And what I remember reading about online is that tornadoes don't really happen very often near the coast of Lake Michigan or any coastal town because because the water creates stability in the atmosphere. So a tornado would be unlikely to occur. Unlikely to occur. That doesn't mean they can't happen because in reality, they actually do, and they can and do happen in coastal towns. Because I thought coastal cities and coastal towns were safe for tornadoes, but that's wrong. Tornadoes still can happen in coastal towns and coastal cities, along the lakes or along the oceans. Because in July of 2001, a tornado started right on Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It actually started in the water as a water spout, because that's what tornadoes are caused when they're formed over water. But then it became a tornado as it moved into land, and it caused quite a bit of damage. It was an EF1. I actually have some footage of that tornado, 2 videos that I'm going to show you guys back to back. And I'm going to be playing those right now and watching them right now. Let me load them up real quick. Gosh, this is creepy. Alright. 3, 2, 1, now. There it is. And you can actually see the damage it's doing. You see it ripping some of those buildings apart? That's right on Myrtle Beach. Gosh. And you can see that it's picking up all the sand on the beach also. Sheesh. I would not want to be there that day. Okay, so there's another video. Let me just get it. Okay, here it is, right here. The guy's kind of swearing it a lot, but let me show you. Alright, you'll see it eventually. Okay, there it is. See that stuff flying in the air? And you also can see the power flashes, too. Gosh. Oh gosh, look at that! I will admit, those surfer guys who are yelling are a bit annoying, but I guess, I mean, who wouldn't be yelling if they saw a tornado like that? I mean, gosh, if I saw that, I probably wouldn't be making much noise at all. I'd probably just be really silent and really freaked out. Gosh, it's creepy. Yeah, we got the real thing on your day! Only in Myrtle Beach? No, that's not only in Myrtle Beach, because there were also tornadoes that happened in Virginia Beach also. I don't really have any footage from those videos, but from what I saw of the tornadoes that hit Virginia Beach, I read about that so long ago. Well, not that long ago, but it has been a while. One of the tornadoes were powerful enough to tear down one of the exterior walls of a 2-story house. And luckily, no one in Myrtle Beach or Virginia Beach, of those 2 tornadoes I read about alone, no one in those no one who was near those tornadoes, no one died at all, really. Because those tornadoes were weak. They were EF1s, so I can't really say for sure whether an EF5 would hit a coastal city. But I have heard of a strong EF4, well, I read about a strong EF4 that did hit a coastal city, and that was in Florida in 1966. The tornado family that hit Florida, There was one long track tornado that went on for around 135 miles, and it caused EF4 damage in one of the places it hit. But it touched down in Largo, Florida, and it carved across the state of Florida. Largo, Florida is in the west coast of Florida, but it carved all the way across to Cocoa Beach, Florida, which is on the east coast of Florida. And there was another tornado that happened too, that was an EF2, that started in St. Petersburg, and which also carved across all the way to Cocoa Beach, Florida. And I have the map of where those tornadoes hit right here. Look at that. When I saw that picture, I didn't think it was real at first, and I was like, oh gosh, the tornadoes went through there? That's absolutely creepy. The one that hit Florida, it was in 1966, the long track EF4 tornado, the one you see highlighted there in red. It injured 300 people and it killed 11 people. And it was absolutely chilling seeing that picture, but the researchers aren't really sure whether it was one tornado that crossed that full path. They believe that it might have been a tornado family. A tornado family is a bunch of tornadoes that are spawned by the same supercell. The supercell is like the storm cloud that spawns tornadoes, but they think that's what it might have been. And there's another myth that tornadoes only happen in small towns and in rural areas, because whenever you hear of a tornado happening, it's almost always in like a small town or rural area. However, that is false. I never heard of an EF5 hitting a large city. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I just haven't heard of an EF5 hitting a large city. But it is possible, and they do believe that in Texas, I believe it's Dallas, Texas, they think that an EF5 might hit Dallas, Texas one day and kill like thousands of people, and that would not be good. But Miami, Florida, it was hit by a tornado, like downtown Miami, where all the skyscrapers are. But it was a weak EF1 tornado, and I actually have pictures of the not of the damage, but of when the tornado was there. This was back in May of 1997. Let me show you a couple pictures. Here's one picture of it. It started as a water spout, because in that picture it's moving over water. But see those tall buildings to the side of it? That's where it happened. And here's another picture of it going through downtown Miami. What happened was, it didn't hit any of the skyscrapers at all. They said that it moved through the skyscrapers, bypassing all of them, and it did flip over a car, and it did damage one small building. And I think it caused more than that, but I'm not really sure. I haven't really researched that tornado very much. But it did do some damage. Luckily, it didn't kill anyone, because that would have been really bad if it did. But it did do some damage, and it did show people that tornadoes can happen in big cities. I never thought that was possible, though, because I always thought that tall skyscrapers could deflect tornadoes. However, I read on a tornado myth-busting site that that's not true, because a lot of people do believe that tall skyscrapers can deflect tornadoes, but skyscrapers on average are only 500 to 1,000 feet high. A tornado, on average, is 8 miles to 12 miles high. So, it's a lot taller than a skyscraper, and they said there's nothing a skyscraper could do to deflect a tornado. However, if a tornado ever did, like a violent EF5, ever make a direct hit to a skyscraper, skyscrapers are built differently than normal buildings, so it wouldn't be like the whole skyscraper would fall down and be destroyed. But I guess it could be possible, but only like under extreme conditions. What would happen, most likely, if a powerful EF5 tornado hit a skyscraper? It would blow out the windows, but then the steel skeleton frame of the skyscraper would stay up, but all the windows would be blown out. And so after the tornado dissipates and everything, what would be left of the skyscraper is the frame, and all the windows would be blown out of the skyscraper. But another thing is, what if the skyscraper has like a lot of walls on the inside? Would those walls like fall down or something, and then would the whole building fall down? It's a very scary thing to think about. We haven't really seen anything like that happen yet, and I don't really want anything like that to happen either, because tornadoes really freak me out and they're scary. However, one person did leave a comment on a video of the Miami tornado, because if you look on YouTube, you can find a video of the Miami tornado. One person typed in, "Tornadoes need vacations too." Do you get it? Because the tornado went through Miami? You know, if someone would have died in that tornado, that comment would have been quite disrespectful. But no one did at all, so I guess it's okay to laugh at it. But one person did get their car destroyed, and one building got destroyed. I'm not sure if it was someone's home, but I think it might have been someone's business, and that still isn't good. But I don't know. So that's that. I never liked tornadoes, really. I've always been afraid of them. I am fascinated by them, and reading about them is kind of, I don't want to say entertaining, but interesting, definitely. But I never want to see one in real life. Absolutely not, because tornadoes scare the heck out of me, really. The only tornado I ever saw in real life was one that, like a small misty one that my uncle pointed out. And it probably wasn't even a tornado, it was probably a dust devil. It's when I was living in the Dominican Republic. Well, I don't think it was a dust devil, probably like a sand devil or something. And my uncle or Mario told me the legend of the dead man walking in a tornado. And that's caused by the multivortex, but the Native American legend was, if you see the dead man walking in a tornado, you are about to die. It was a Native American legend, and it was really creepy. And you know, another scary thing is, the psychic did tell me I was supposed to die in a tornado in North Carolina, but it was supposed to happen in October of 2017, but because she told me that, and because of what came after that, things ended up being different, and I didn't end up dying in the tornado in October. Not that what the psychic said was wrong, it's just that she changed things, really. Because that's what psychics do. They try to help people, and they try to change things. Well, some of them do. And deep down inside, though, I believe that one day I am meant to die in a tornado, and it's kind of creepy and kind of morbid and kind of gloomy, but that's honestly what I believe, that one day my fate is to die in a tornado. So, that's basically it. So what did you guys think of everything I talked about in this video? Have you guys ever been in a tornado before? Have you ever seen a tornado? Have you ever survived a tornado? Has one ever hit your house? And where and when did that happen? Let me know in the comments, and we can start a conversation about that in the comments. So, yeah, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's it. Peace out, people.